Kingdom Tunes.
Hello, ho friends. Today, I want to share with you an incredible story from the Bible about a brave young woman named Esther. It's a story of courage, purpose, and standing up for what's right. So get comfy and let's dive into this amazing adventure.
Let us celebrate the greatness of our kingdom. Eat, drink, and be merry.
Once upon a time in the vast kingdom of Persia, there lived a mighty king named Xerxes. He was so powerful that his empire stretched over 127 provinces. One day, King Xerxes decided to throw a huge banquet that lasted for 7 whole days. Can you imagine a party that lasts a whole week?
Bring Queen Vashti to me. I wish to present her beauty to my guests.
Your Majesty, the king requests your presence at the banquet.
Tell the king I will not attend.
What, she refuses to come?
But during this grand celebration, something unexpected happened. The king asked his queen Vashti to come and greet his guests, but Queen Vashti refused to come. This made the king very angry, and he decided that she could no longer be queen. King Xerxes needed a new queen, so he sent out a royal decree to gather the most beautiful young women in the land. Among them was a humble and kind girl named Esther.
Thank you, Esther. You're always so helpful.
It's my pleasure. Let me know if you need anything else.
Esther, the king's decree has reached us. You are to go to the palace.
Me? But I'm just an ordinary girl.
Do not worry. Remember to keep your Jewish heritage a secret, as we discussed.
Welcome, please follow me. You will be given the finest treatments.
When Esther was brought to the palace, she found favor with everyone she met. Her kindness and grace stood out. And guess what? King Xerxes chose Esther to be his new queen.
Rise, Queen Esther.
But there was a secret. Esther didn't tell anyone she was Jewish because Mordecai had advised her not to reveal her identity. One day, Mordecai overheard 2 palace guards plotting to harm the king. He quickly told Esther about it, and she informed the king, giving credit to Mordecai. The plot was stopped, and the event was recorded in the King's Book of Chronicles. Now there was a man named Haman, who was given a very high position by the king. He expected everyone to bow down to him, but Mordecai refused because he would only bow to God.
Why do you disobey the king's command?
I bow only to the Lord God.
This made Haman furious. Learning that Mordecai was Jewish, he plotted not only to punish Mordecai, but to destroy all Jewish people in the kingdom.
Your Majesty, there is a certain people scattered throughout your provinces who keep themselves separate. Their customs are different and they do not obey your laws. It is not in your best interest to tolerate them.
What do you propose?
If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will put 10,000 talents of silver into the royal treasury.
Do as you see fit.
Haman went to King Xerxes and convinced him that the Jews were disobedient and should be eliminated. The king, not knowing the full truth, agreed and issued a decree that on a certain day, all Jews in the kingdom would be destroyed.
Mordecai, Queen Esther sent me to find out why you're grieving.
Tell Esther about this terrible decree. She must go to the king and plead for our people.
Everyone knows that any man or woman who approaches the king without being summoned can be put to death unless the king extends his golden scepter. It's been 30 days since he called for me.
Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone will escape. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?
Go gather all the Jews in Susa. Fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My attendants and I will do the same. After that, I will go to the king, even though it's against the law. And if I perish, I perish.
Esther sent a message back to Mordecai agreeing to risk her life to save her people. On the third day, Esther dresses in her royal robes. She walks gracefully, yet determinedly toward the king's hall. The guards and attendants watch anxiously. King Xerxes sits on his throne.
Queen Esther, what is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom it will be given to you.
If it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to a banquet I have prepared for him.
Bring Haman at once so that we may do as Esther asks. Now, Esther, what is your request?
My request is that if the king regards me with favor, let the king and Haman come tomorrow to another banquet I will prepare. Then I will answer the king's question.
I must be truly favored to be invited twice. All this gives me no satisfaction, as long as I see that Jew Mordecai sitting at the king's gate.
Have a gallows built 75 feet high. Ask the king in the morning to have Mordecai hanged on it. Then go to the banquet and enjoy yourself.
An excellent idea. Bring me the book of Chronicles. Read them to me. Wait, what honor has been given to Mordecai for this?
Nothing has been done for him, sire.
Who is in the court?
Haman is standing there.
Bring him in.
What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?
For the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe the king has worn and a horse the king has ridden. Let the robe and horse be entrusted to one of the king's most noble princes. Let them robe the man and lead him on the horse through the city streets, proclaiming, "This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor."
Excellent. Go at once and do all that you have suggested for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the king's gate. Do not neglect anything you have recommended.
This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Queen Esther, what is your petition? It will be given to you.
If I have found favor with you, O king, and if it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition, and spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated.
Who is he? Where is the man who has dared to do such a thing?
An adversary and enemy, this vile Haman.
Haman. Queen Esther, please, have mercy. Will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house?
A gallows 75 feet high stands by Haman's house. He had it made for Mordecai.
Hang him on it.
Haman was taken away and hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Her justice had been served.
I am giving Haman's estate to Esther, and you, Mordecai, shall have my signet ring. Write another decree in the king's name on behalf of the Jews as you see fit.
King Xerxes gave Mordecai Haman's position and allowed the Jews to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the Jews were victorious and were saved from destruction.
Long live Queen Esther. Long live Mordecai.
We've been through so much, cousin.
Yes, but through courage and faith we've seen deliverance.
Perhaps this is why I became queen, to help our people.
Esther's courage and wisdom saved her people. She realized that she was in a unique position to make a difference. Even though she was afraid, she chose to do what's right. Just like Esther, each one of us has a special purpose. Sometimes, we might find ourselves in situations where we can help others. It's important to be brave and stand up for what's right, even when it's not easy. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the story of Esther. Remember, no matter who you are or where you're from, you can make a positive impact in the world. Perhaps like Esther, you've come to your place for such a time as this. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.